The Life of Chuck premiered at the 2024 Toronto International Film Festival and managed to win the People's Choice, the biggest award given out at the festival, one that could spell good luck for a movie come Oscar season. However, Life of Chuck didn't release in 2024, and so Nora won pretty easily. I love predicting the Oscars for an entire year, and so in one Oscar season you start looking forward to the next. And when people started to predict the 2026 Best Picture lineup, many defaulted to The Life of Chuck being in it. But I didn't feel this way. In my video I posted on April 1st, I predicted it wasn't going to get the Best Picture nominee. With a couple months between that video and having seen the movie since, I am even more confident that this isn't going to get a single Oscar nom. I'm going to briefly talk about the movie and how I felt about it personally before getting back to its Oscars chances though. First off, I personally didn't like the movie that much. I found it was a fine time, but just not for me. Life of Chuck tries to be thought-provoking and intelligent, while provoking very little thought in me and not really coming across as all that smart. The first act, Marty and Felicia, felt like the setup of a movie that challenges you intellectually, plays with the idea of the world ending in a fascinating way, but none of that was ever followed through on. Act 2 and 3 move away from the brief, what everything was built on, and instead we focus on Chuck. Even then, I don't feel like we really know all that much about Chuck. He's a prodigy dancer and abandoned that to become an accountant. There isn't any reason for the survival of the world to be attached to Chuck, leaving me to think this is all some kind of fantasy world Chuck has merged with the real world on his deathbed, leaving me not being all that attached to the world, because it's just kind of about Chuck and I don't really care about Chuck the character. The amount of times I have seen this movie described as life-affirming is wild to me. Dancing made Chuck happy. It was what he wanted to do, but he spent years working a dead-end job as an accountant. Then when he dies, the billboards are of him as the accountant. He's remembered for his work and not his passion. Chuck's life seems pretty awful. He wasted his entire life on his career and didn't follow his passion fully. How does that affirm your life? Do you hate your job, and because this movie told you you're going to die hating it, you're affirmed? It just kind of makes me sad. The movie doesn't present the ending that way though. It doesn't present it as sad. The entire movie is wrapped in a fluffy cloud. It's overly sentimental and has an artificial feeling of warmth. The story and tone are at direct odds with one another. There are brief moments where the movie bursts into fantasy only to return to normal. Overall, it spends a lot of time wistfully looking upon itself, wanting to affirm your life when it can't. The story isn't affirming, so the tone being that way just feels at odds and is a disconnect for me. Life of Chuck has a solid cast. Tom Hiddleston, Karen Gillan, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Mark Hamill, and Matthew Lillard are all good actors who show some promise in this movie, but in my opinion, none of them are given enough time to really stand out. I guess Mark Hamill is my favorite of the bunch, but I'm not in love with the performance by any means, and he just kind of manages to be the best of the mid. I really wish I didn't feel the need to complain about narration in movies. I wish I could just accept it as part of the medium, but I hate it so much, and Life of Chuck is a perfect example of why. The narration is used to tell the story. Without the narrator in Life of Chuck, you would have no clue what was going on. I like when narration adds onto the movie, not when it is a structural part of it. I find it to be the laziest and least engaging way of telling a story. Then you have Nick Offerman, who did an abysmal job as the narrator in this movie. He just read it like he would anything else. It felt like he thought he was reading the audiobook instead of performing for the movie. Now back to talking about the Oscars. There are plenty of movies that I think are worse than this that have been nominated for Best Picture, Emilia Perez in the 2022 All Quiet, and winners worse than this like Gigi and Crash. So if personal neutrality isn't hurting this movie, why am I so confident Life of Chuck will get goose-egged come Oscar night? First is the release strategy and lack of conversation about it. I have seen very few people talking about this movie as it has rolled out online. There has been no hype or word of mouth. Life of Chuck doesn't have people writing for it, no champions, and has no momentum when it's releasing. It definitely isn't going to have any another 3 months from now when nominations time comes. The second and more telling factor is the lack of a nomination package. If you assume this is getting a Best Picture nom, you would have to ask, what else can it get? I don't see Mike Flanagan for director. Tom Hiddleston isn't in the movie enough or good enough to crack what is looking like a stacked lead actor category. This is not a screenplay movie really. The ideas are vague and a lot of it is left up to your imagination. If the Academy really loved this movie, you could squeeze in a costume design or sound, but those also feel like massive stretches. In the end, only one thing feels like it would fit, and that would be Mark Hamill in supporting actor, which is not something to hitch an entire movie to. I'm not sure if a movie has ever been nominated on only a supporting category and Best Picture. It just doesn't happen all that often, and Life of Chuck isn't gonna be the one to finally make it happen. So, if the Oscar chances are so slim, what happened at the Toronto International Film Festival? The last time a winner of the award went on to not get a Best Picture nom was in 2011. That's a long streak of winning this award means you're going to have a Best Picture nom. This might not be a satisfying conclusion to the video, but I don't fully know. They also loved Emilia Perez that year, so maybe there was just some kind of crazy sickness going around, or Life of Chuck just felt special and unique in that time. The world has changed dramatically from the state it was in a year ago. A movie about finding comfort in the end of the world hits a little different when the world at large feels harsher than it did last year. A movie that was comfortable could turn into a warning instead. If you enjoyed, please subscribe. I never like shilling mid-video, but I'm on my journey to 200 subs and would love to make a little community talking about movies here. I release one movie review a week, I'm doing it on Wednesdays for now, and I kind of want to get back to shorts soon, maybe every other day because every day was a little much. I have some big plans for the end of the year, going to be a number of different videos for Halloween, followed by what will probably be my biggest video at the tail end of the year. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed.